Welcome back, it's Eddie here from Tyneside Life. Here I am on the swing bridge down by the River Tyne, Tuesday afternoon of the 9th of April 2024, and look, the Tyne has just started to burst its banks. There's been flood warnings in place by the Environment Agency in the local area for the last 24 hours or so, especially along the Tyne estuary all the way along to Hexham and Corbridge, where I think it's particularly bad. But all the way down the Tyne to North Shields, but also in the Tees and the North Yorkshire area, things are really bad with the high tide, with the winds and the rain we've had over the last 24 hours or so. In fact, the last 3 months it's been ridiculous for rain, and this is the outcome. So since early this morning, the Environment Agency has been out in this location up the Tyne Bridge and about 50 metres the other side of the swing bridge towards the Tyne Bridge. In total of 185 metres of flood defences have been put up. It seems to be a bit of a choke point around about this particular location, which makes it a little bit susceptible for flooding. It's my understanding it was this high around about a month ago. This does happen from time to time. I personally have never seen the Tyne this high before in real life. Now, there was a huge flood historically on the 12th of November 1771, where all the bridges along the Tyne were destroyed by that particular flood. The Tyne banks and the Tyne was a little bit wider, a little bit shallower then, and the Tyne Bridge, which was in this location where the swing bridge is now, the old medieval bridge, which had shops and houses built on it in the early hours of the morning of the 12th of November 1771, was completely washed away in 2 sections. In fact, the only bridge that was standing in those devastating floods was the bridge at Corbridge. Here we are today. These floods seem to be becoming more and more frequent. It's my understanding that the River Tyne is at high tide, but it's just starting to go down now. We've been really lucky today. There are about 87 businesses and premises along this critical stretch of the River Tyne that is susceptible, that should those defence barriers break, you could see some really bad damage to those particular premises. I have got personal experience dealing with the rescue and evacuation operations of floods in Cockermouth when I lived there back in 2009. The whole town, in particular the main street of Cockermouth, was under 4 foot of water. It destroyed the whole of Cockermouth Main Street. It took absolutely ages to get that town back up and running again. Thankfully I lived on the second floor of a small block, but I was working the floods, so it actually took me about 4 days to actually get back into my flat, which was thankfully dry, obviously, because it was high up. But also worked the floods in Carlisle of 2015. Now, clearly the geography and landscape of Cockermouth and Carlisle are completely different to the Tyne Valley here, the estuary. It's we're on a steep-sided embankment on either side, so the only properties that would be damaged, that would suffer the consequences of flooding, are the ones here on the quayside. Like I say, there are bars and restaurants and cafes along here, plus other types of premises that could really do without any sort of compromise to their businesses, especially because times are so hard. But it looks like the Environment Agency, you can see the river behind us now, is starting to subside, so the Environment Agency have got it bang on by getting these flood defences up on this side and the other side of the Tyne Bridge. You can see behind us here on the Tyne Bridge side of the swing bridge that the river has actually broke its banks slightly, and it has flooded behind the Hard Rock Cafe there. And you've got the guys there from the Environment Agency, they've got the water pump out, they're pumping the water back into the river as we speak. Thankfully a major catastrophe obviously has been averted, but obviously some water has got in through those flood defences. I'm not sure exactly how, but it just shows you how vulnerable we are to the elements when they decide to vent their fury on our planet. We're lucky living here. We don't see floods and fires like you do elsewhere in the world, but this is bad enough. You know, this has been a really close call, so I just thought I'd come down here. I was down here earlier on, actually about 1 o'clock when I first got wind of this, but the river levels were normal, as you'll see by the footage I'm putting on now. But this high tide, I think, is from 4:40. I've come straight back down, and this is what we've found. And obviously the river is subsiding now, so I'm not sure what the next 24, excuse me, what the next 24 hours looks like in terms of rain and rising tides. I'll keep an eye on it. If there's any developments, make sure, I can bet your bottom dollar I'll be back down here keeping you up to date with the news on the scene as it happens. So there you go, everybody. River Tyne has just burst its banks, but that's probably as high as it's going to get. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little impromptu video that I've put together about the River Tyne. Give us a thumbs up. I'm going to try and do more videos like this. When there's some sort of incident happening, I'll try and get here as quick as I can to bring you the news as it's happening. Eddie here from Tyneside Life. I'll catch you later.